What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode brought to you by the League FFB. Today, we're here for another Monday recap of all of the Sunday games, all of the Sunday slate here, I guess, as we go into Monday of Week 14. So, don't know why that's necessarily a surprise, but it feels like the fantasy football playoffs are just right here, man. Hopefully those Sunday games went well for you. Hopefully you were able to advance into the playoffs, get into the playoffs. Hopefully you don't need a Monday miracle. I need a Monday miracle in one of my leagues, the BDG League. If you guys have followed along, your idiot league mates, I need a Monday miracle, man. It's me and Jack. I need Chase Brown to score less than 21.5 points tonight. If Chase Brown scores less than 21.5 points, I will be advancing to the playoffs. So hopefully that Monday miracle goes in my favor. Now, if you're looking for a Monday miracle of your own, you're looking to win some money over on Underdog, they are giving new customers a free pick for Joe Burrow. 1 yard is what you need from him here tonight. I almost said a half yard, but that's not even possible. You need 1 total yard from Joe Burrow to win. The only way to get that code or to get that promo is to use our code LEAGUEFFB. You'll also get up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you sign up using that code. So like I said, if you want to get a Monday miracle of your own tonight, maybe win some money back, maybe win the buy-in back if you missed the playoffs, make sure you throw this Joe Burrow free pick into your pick and play, and make sure you get it cracking over there on Underdog tonight. So, like I said, we're here to recap the Sunday games. We're going to kick it off with my Minnesota Vikings. Kirk Cousins comes back to town, and hey, take that ass whooping with you, buddy. Minnesota goes 42 points. Atlanta 21. Minnesota is now 11-2, and there was a plethora of fantasy football points to go around in this one. Sam Darnold goes 22 for 28, 347 yards, and 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Can't say the same for Kirko. You know, Kirko in his last couple of games, he's like 0 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. Sam Darnold's like 11 touchdowns or some shit in his last couple of games. Sam's balling right now. Aaron Jones goes 13 for 73 and a touchdown. Cam Akers gets mixed in. Just a handcuff right now to Aaron Jones, but Cam Akers has completely and entirely surpassed Ty Chandler. The Ty Chandler experiment is over in Minnesota. For the receiving, this is where you're going to have all of those fantasy points for the Vikings. Jordan Addison, number 1 wide receiver on the week as of this very moment. 8 receptions for 133 yards and 3 touchdowns on 12 targets. Huge day from Jordan Addison. 2 of his last 3 games now, he has finished as the number 1 wide receiver on the week. Justin Jefferson also goes 7 for 132 and 2 touchdowns. If you were here on the Saturday stream, I said hot take. I think Justin Jefferson's going to get 2 touchdowns this weekend. You can go back and look at it. The receipts are on the channel. It was a hot take, a bold take. Justin Jefferson came through for us. The only guy who didn't come through was TJ Hawkinson. He goes 4 for 45. It wasn't horrible. In your PPR leagues, that's going to be 8.5 points. But from TJ Hawkinson, you know, the tight end position, you're not getting a lot of points. But Hawkinson, you expect more than that. So we at least needed more than that. We didn't get that. But when you got 5 touchdowns going to Addison and Justin Jefferson combined with a total of like 260-something yards, yeah, it's going to be pretty tough for you to get everybody else involved. So I see we got Jeff in the chat. Jeff, appreciate you being here. He says, good morning. I'm up 25 points, and I have Dowdle left. My opponent has Burrow and Higgins left. Who gets the victory? Woo, this is tough. I think, man, this is tough. I think it's almost 50-50. It's a coin flip because I think Burrow could account for the 25-point lead, and then it's Dowdle versus Higgins. Maybe Burrow's 20 of those 25 points, then you get a 5-point spread with Dowdle versus Higgins. It's going to be tough, man. I think it's 50-50. I'd still be nervous. But I think you would probably be the favorite. You know, if we were going to give you betting odds, I'd say like minus 120 your way. But let's go to Atlanta. Atlanta, Kirk Cousins, 23-37. 23 and 37 is Kirk Cousins' completion to attempts ratio. He goes for 344 yards, ton of yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Bijan Robinson had a big day for himself as well. 22 carries for 92 yards and a touchdown, with also 2 receptions for 9 yards receiving. This is a tough defense to run on, and Bijan did a damn good job running against it. So, you know, he kind of surpassed my expectations. I guess it shouldn't have been low expectations for Bijan in the first place because Bijan is a stud. But Tyler Algier also vultured a touchdown. He goes 9 for 63 and a touchdown on the ground. Darnell Mooney leads the way. I expected, you know, there to be some points from the wide receiver position. I said on our Saturday episode when we were drafting our underdog teams that I liked the matchups for Drake London and Darnell Mooney. I thought Drake London was going to get the big day. It was actually Darnell Mooney. So Darnell goes 6 for 142, Ray McLeod 8 for 98, and then Drake London 5 for 70. Like I said, nobody scores a touchdown here, so there isn't really a ton of fantasy points that you love outside of Darnell Mooney's 140 yards. But Kyle Pitts, man, 1 for 14, and the woes of Kyle Pitts continues, man. I just want to call it for what it is. And I don't want to sound reactive because I have a platform here and I don't want to, get irresponsible. But what's the difference from a guy like Kyle Pitts and a guy like Jake Ferguson? What's the difference? Maybe Jake Ferguson is a better fantasy football tight end. Maybe I'm being disrespectful to Jake Ferguson because I know that he's going to get 5 catches, 7 catches, 8 catches a game and maybe go for 60 yards and a touchdown. Kyle Pitts, he feels like still to this day, especially in Dynasty Fantasy Football Leagues, people are still holding on to the hope that Kyle Pitts can become what he's supposed to be. It just doesn't look like it's ever going to happen. I mean, we've had the quarterback change. We've had the other things that are supposed to happen. It's just, to me, Kyle Pitts, man, if I had him anywhere, I'd be selling him and just re-rolling at this point. It's over. It is over for at least the expectation of him becoming an elite tight end 1. I don't think he's ever going to do it. Jeff says, I'm nervous. If I win, I'm in the playoffs. If I lose, I'm out. I'm in the same situation, so we'll be sweating Monday night together. I need Chase Brown minus 21.5 points. So if he goes over 21.5 points, I'm out. Jay, PPR, 4-point passing touchdown. Can Rush and Chase Brown get 15 more points than Burrow? I think they can. It's possible. It's going to be sweaty. Austin says, if Chase Brown scores over 31, I'm out. You should be good, Austin. I think you're good, man. Mine's 21, so we'll see, man. But we're both going to be rooting against Chase Brown, I guess, tonight. Let's move on to the next game, man. We spent too much time here. Let's go to the next one. That is going to be the Jaguars and the Titans. So you got the Jaguars and the Titans here. Two teams that are just not really playing for 2024 anymore. These are teams looking for 2025 and beyond. The Tennessee Titans, they lose this one 6-10. They are the home team. They fall to 3-10. The Jaguars are 3-10. Both of these teams just not doing too much. 6-10 is the overall. I think I just said that. 6/10 is the overall score. Not a lot of points. Let's just talk about the Jags because they won 23-31, 220 yards and 0 touchdowns for Mac Jones. But Tank Bigsby gets it on the ground. He gets 18 carries for 55 yards and a touchdown. Travis Etienne was healthy in this one, and he gets 4 carries, supposedly healthy. I don't really know what's going on. It seems like it might be over for Travis Etienne here in Jacksonville as well. He's getting close to a contract situation here, and so I think that they may just move on from him, just the direction of the Jaguars roster and maybe a new coaching staff and some of the other stuff this offseason. It might be done for Etienne in Jacksonville, but I don't think he's done as a fantasy football asset. Outside of that, Brian Thomas Jr. goes 8 for 86 on 12 targets. Etienne goes 4 for 50 in the air. Ingram 4 for 33, and then everybody else kind of mixes in with a little bit of nothing. Overall, just not a great day from the Jags. If you had Tank Bigsby, he was salvageable. You could have streamed him, and you could have played him, and you could have been good. But overall, that's about it. Now, Tennessee, Will Levis goes 19 for 32. Everybody was talking about how good of a matchup it was for Will Levis. He didn't do anything with it. 168 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Tony Pollard had a good matchup, 21 for 102. He actually got into the end zone, and then it was called back on a holding. So could have had a much bigger day if there wasn't a holding call there. Tajay Spears got mixed in a little bit, but still nothing crazy. Again, supposed to be a good matchup for the Tennessee Titans receivers. Calvin Ridley goes 7 for 59. Nick Westbrook-Ikine goes 1 for 19. Didn't have the big day. It was just a poor game from both teams. Not a lot of points to go around. I mean, the Jags didn't go, or the Jags went 3 quarters without putting any points on the board at all, and the Titans pretty much just put 2 field goals out there. It was not great, man. It was not great. So really not a lot to talk about in this game. Austin says Etienne in Jacksonville doesn't seem likely to continue, and I played Levis in 3 leagues. Unfortunate. But let's move on to the next game. Like I said, there wasn't a lot to talk about there. We don't need to spend too much time talking about some bad teams that really have no fantasy implications. I just went right back to the same game. My bad. We will go to Jets-Dolphins. Jets-Dolphins is the game here. This one's a little bit more interesting. We got some overtime, some extra game here in this one. The Dolphins, they win 32-26. This is a divisional matchup. Miami goes to 6-7 now, and New York is 3-10. It's funny because the Jets, they started to score points here over the last couple of weeks, but It's a little too late. Miami might be a little bit too late for them as well. Let's talk about the Dolphins winning. Tua goes 33 for 47, 331 yards, 2 touchdowns in this one as well. Pretty solid day from Tua. Devon Achane goes 14 for 24 and a touchdown. Bad day for Achane. He also got banged up in this game as well. He came back in, but he got banged up. He went and was getting checked out on the sideline. Kind of got his knee twisted. Also kind of looked like he might have had a concussion. I don't know really what they were checking for, but just got banged up. Didn't have the biggest day, but he got to the end zone. So that's really all you can ask for. Jalen Wright got mixed in. Jeff Wilson in there as well. Tyreek Hill rushing the football. But the big thing is Tyreek Hill finally had a big day. I guess not finally. He's had 2 weeks now where he's had 2 big days. But he goes 10 for 115 and a touchdown on 14 targets. Jalen Waddle showed up, 9 for 99. Was a solid day for him as well. Devon Achane, 6 for 45 in the air. And then Jonnu Smith, I think the big story was Jonnu Smith, being a guy that was streaming. Like, everybody loves streaming Jonnu Smith. And then through the entire game, 4 quarters of this game, Jonnu Smith had 0 catches. Then in overtime, 3 for 44 and a touchdown to win the game. Bingo. If you streamed him, it was so sweaty. It was so nerve-wracking, but it finally worked out there in overtime. He just needed some extra quarters to get it happening. But he salvaged his day for sure. Josiah says, go, Pack, go. Darnold is a terrorist. Crazy. He looks damn good. Austin says, yeah, I watched that game and Jonnu saved the Dolphins. It took so long for it to happen. But let's talk about the Jets, because there's something interesting here that I think we need to talk about as we head into the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers goes 27 for 39, 399, or 339 and a touchdown. The running back room is what I want to talk about, because Breece Hall, we don't know, how long he's going to miss time. If he misses an additional week, Isaiah Davis got mixed in way more than I felt like he was going to get mixed in. Braylon Allen goes 11 for 43, but Isaiah Davis goes 10 for 40, and he gets the rushing touchdown. So he kind of stole the show away from Braylon Allen a little bit. Now, the good news is they both were worked into the receiving game as well. Braylon Allen goes 4 for 33 or 4 for 38, and then Isaiah Davis goes 3 for 27. So my guess is that a lot of people in your leagues picked up Braylon Allen last week. A lot of people either had him rostered or they picked him up. This week, I would assume not that many people picked up Isaiah Davis. Maybe the really sharp people in your league picked him up. But Isaiah Davis did not get picked up in a ton of leagues. I think I checked his exposure or his roster percentage before this video. It was like 20-something%. Isaiah Davis needs to be picked up as well, because I think you can play him just like Braylon Allen as a emergency running back or emergency flex play if Breece Hall misses another week. So we probably need to make sure that Davis is picked up. Austin says, I avoided Braylon because of the Isaiah Davis situation. Played Sharp instead. Yeah, Sharp was the better play this week. And I think I told a lot of people that same thing as well. I did mess up because I think I told people that Braylon and Garendo were similar plays to me, but I had Sharp over them. Wasn't right about the Braylon Garendo thing. But when you look at the receiving, Garrett Wilson goes 7 for 114. Devontae Adams goes 9 for 109 and a touchdown. So you had good days out of the receivers. But outside of that, that's really it. But I just really wanted us to talk about that running back situation, because Isaiah Davis, he's going to be a player that needs to be picked up and put onto your rosters as we head into the playoffs. Because if Breece Hall gets shut down, I just don't know if he's going to get shut down. The Jets have nothing to play for. There is nothing to play for right now, and maybe they want to see what they have in the young guys. If Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis, they did good enough on the ground that that committee could do some stuff in the fantasy football playoffs for us. So let's move on to the next game here. I'm going to take us to the Saints-Giants. And this was kind of a bad game, a boring game as well. Not a lot of points to go around in this one. The Saints win 14-11. The Giants fall to 2-11. And the New Orleans Saints are 5-8 now. Now, we'll talk about the Saints first. Derek Carr, he goes 20 for 31, 219, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He broke his hand. Derek Carr broke his hand in this game, so your MVS streams, your Juwan Johnson streams potentially, all of these are pretty much done, I think, for the rest of the year. It's going to be Jake Haener, maybe Spencer Rattler. It's going to be the mix of those guys again, and it's not going to be good. Obviously, we know with the Saints, Taysom Hill's been out for the rest of the year. Chris Olave has been out. I don't imagine that they bring him back at all at this point. There was rumors that he may come back. It makes 0 sense for him to come back, in my opinion, if Derek Carr is not playing. it's not going to be good. The one bright spot for the Saints, though, is that they'll probably keep running Alvin Kamara. So Alvin Kamara, he goes 17 for 44. The problem is Kendre Miller is now being mixed in. 10 carries for 32 yards and a touchdown. He got the touchdown and stole that from Kamara. So when we were getting vultured by Taysom Hill, now we're being vultured by Kendre Miller. It's not great overall. I think Kendre's going to be interesting. He's probably going to be picked up off of waivers this week. I think a lot of people are going to want to put him on the back end of the bench just in case, because people have been excited about Kendre Miller. There's obviously some weird situation going on with Dennis Allen, and Kendre was healthy and maybe put on IR while being healthy. It's kind of weird what was going on, but Kamara should still be fine. Kendre's just going to be mixed in. It's just going to be a little bit annoying moving forward. And Austin says, how do you feel about Kamara? I mean, that's about how I feel about him. So other than that, MVS, he goes 4 for 51. Juwan Johnson, 4 for 50 in the touchdown. Moreau, 2 for 40. Everybody else, just a bunch of bodies getting 1 or 2 catches. Alvin Kamara goes 5 for 35 in the air. But I think with Carr out, Kamara may not get as many checkdowns as we want him to do, but he might get more carries. So that's kind of the way it's going to go. But this offense is going to be, even worse than it was before. So it's not great, man. Not great. Let's talk about the Giants. Drew Lock goes 21 for 49, 227, 0 touchdowns and an interception. He's played horrible football ever since becoming the starter. To be honest, I think he could be benched as well. If you want to go back to Tommy DeVito, you go to Tommy DeVito. But the problem is, I think the Giants want to lose games at this point. So maybe Drew Lock is the better play if you want to lose some games. Tyrone Tracy had himself a day, though. He goes 16 for 45 and a touchdown. That was good for you. Tyrone Tracy also went 5 for 38 in the air. That was decent enough for you as well. So if you played Tyrone Tracy, despite the bad offense, you still got a decent day out of him. Malik Neighbors goes 5 for 79. Daniel Bellinger goes 5 for 45. And everybody else, does what they do. Wandell, 4 for 38. The rumor was that Malik Neighbors was potentially going to be limited. It felt like he was kind of limited, but at the same time, he led this receiving core. But this receiving core is built up of a bunch of guys that are, quite frankly, role players. Not necessarily a bunch of talent in that receiving core. The Giants have a lot of work to do this offseason. And to be honest, we saw them on Hard Knocks this last year. I think Joe Schoen, I think that's his name, Joe Schoen, he's probably, if it was me, I'd probably be firing him. Dable is questionable. I probably would go one more year with Dable, but it's tough, man. It's tough. They're probably going to have to try and find a QB, and it's going to be a tough class to try and find one. I love to see Tracy regaining the backfield. I agree, man. I think he's still going to get a ton of work down the stretch. So let's go on to the next game. I want to talk about the Panthers and the Eagles. And this one was surprising, to be honest, because the Eagles were supposed to blow them out. And there was a lot of disappointing things, I think, fantasy football-wise in this game for us. So the Eagles, they win 22-16. Bryce Young almost leads a game-winning drive. Leggett dropped a touchdown pass that could have won this game for them. When you look at it, though, Jalen Hurts, he goes 14 for 21, 108 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also had a rushing touchdown, 8 for 59, and that was the tush push. Now, that stole a touchdown from Saquon Barkley, so that everybody who wanted to see Saquon go out and, have a huge day, that did not happen in this one. He still went for 124, but not getting the touchdown and not getting any receiving work in this one, 0 for 0, made Saquon's day pretty normal. Pretty normal. And a lot of people probably were banking on Saquon Barkley. I was banking on Saquon Barkley, and I didn't get what I needed out of him. Now, the other disappointing parts was A.J. Brown was out there running cardio, bro. 4 for 43 and 0 touchdowns on 4 targets. Emmanuel Acho put out a video on X today where he was like, A.J. Brown is mad because he's human. And he showed like 9 plays or whatever where Jalen Hurts was just going through the motions, not hitting A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown was open a lot. So it's tough to see A.J. go out there, have a decent matchup, and not put together a big performance. Devonta Smith stole one of the touchdowns receiving, 4 for 37, and then Grant Calcaterra was a streamable tight end that got into the end zone as well. But really, the Eagles, they played bad football in this one. We all kind of looked at them as like one of the best teams in the NFC, and they went out there and they looked kind of mediocre in this one. Now, Carolina's been playing some damn good football. It doesn't show up on the win column over the last couple of weeks, but they've been playing some good football. So overall, that's kind of what happened with the Eagles. A lot of disappointment fantasy-wise from those guys. Really, if you didn't have Jalen Hurts, and I guess if you played Devontae, you were okay because he got into the end zone. Now, for Carolina, there's some things to talk about here. Bryce Young goes 19 for 34, a touchdown and interception for 191 yards. Not a great day, but Chuba Hubbard gets 26 carries and 92 yards and a touchdown. Now, this was because Jonathan Brooks gets hurt again. Jonathan Brooks goes down, the same knee. He tried to get off the field. He kind of limped off. Then he sat down. Then they took him into the tent, and then the cart came out to the tent and took him up the tunnel to the locker room on the cart. Not a lot of information that I've heard about Jonathan Brooks yet. It's not great. When you have a guy who's recovering from the ACL injury, he goes down, he's grabbing the same knee, and then the cart comes out and gets him. It's not great. We're going to wait until we get some more information, but I would be shocked if Jonathan Brooks plays football anymore this season. He was kind of getting pushed back into the rotation. He was starting to take away a lot of work from Chuba Hubbard. He was getting mixed in on early downs, and then he was also taking some receiving work. Now we're at a point where it's probably going to be Chuba Hubbard bell cow the rest of the way, and he just got a contract, so that means that Chuba could be a league winner again for us. When it looked like it was getting grim for Chuba, it could be a league winner again for us. So Austin says it's very sad to see Jonathan Brooks getting injured. This guy has so much potential. We may have to wait till 2025, and if it's serious, like it could potentially be. Again, don't take this as word because we're still waiting on information, but it could potentially be a meniscus tear or a re-tear of the ACL. If it's one of those things, I mean, dude, we could be waiting till 2026, until Jonathan Brooks is 100% healthy again. It could be a lost year next year or most of next year. It could be the same thing repeated over again. So it's very unfortunate for Jonathan Brooks. It's just tough to see, man. But Austin says, what should we expect from Adam Thielen rest of the season? And I think what you saw in this game, this is supposed to be a tough matchup. The Guantanamo Bay was happening coming into this one. Adam Thielen goes 9 for 102, 11 targets. Leggett goes 2 for 39, David Moore 2 for 25, Chuba 4 for 15 in the air. I think Adam Thielen is the first read. I think he's the most talented wide receiver in this offense still. It's just Adam Thielen is a dog, man. If you have him in a PPR league, he's probably a safe floor of 12 to 15 points every week. So I think he's a set it and forget it flex play moving forward, especially because the Carolina Panthers, they're going to continue to be trailing in games. So they're just going to keep passing the football. So Adam Thielen, he's definitely a guy that I like moving forward. Let's go on. Actually, Austin says it could be career ending, which is just awful. I hope not. I hope not, man. If it's another ACL tear, it's not bad, but it feels very reminiscent of the J.K. Dobbins career path, which isn't fun. So let's go on to this Browns-Steelers game. This was a decent game. Now, before the game, we all got told George Pickens was not going to play, even though we were told earlier that it looked likely that he was going to play. So George Pickens did not play in this game. The Steelers didn't need him, though. They still won 27-14. The Browns fall to 3-10. Pittsburgh is now 10-3. Russell Wilson goes 15 for 26, 158 yards and 2 touchdowns, playing some good football. Najee Harris goes 16 for 53 and 1 touchdown. Jalen Warren mixed in 9 for 47 as well. Just a good day overall from the Pittsburgh Steelers. They were playing some decent football. And without their options, Pat Freiermuth leads the way. 3 for 48 and a touchdown. Scotty Miller, 3 for 38. Mike Williams, 3 for 36. Jalen Warren, 2 for 25. You probably were not playing any of these guys in your leagues. Maybe the only one you felt confident in playing was Pat Freiermuth with Pickens out. And if you did feel comfortable with that, 3 for 48 ain't great, but he got into the end zone, so he saved the day. So overall, there's not a ton to talk about here. Russell Wilson still kind of held his own. I was nervous about playing Russell Wilson without Pickens. 158 and 2 touchdowns. You could have seen worse. That was definitely a solid day from Russell, given the circumstances. Now for Cleveland, Jameis Winston, he goes 24 for 41, 212 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Nick Chubb goes 11 for 48 with Jerome Ford mixing in 10 carries for 28 yards as well. Jerry Jeudy leads the way receiving again, 5 for 64 and a touchdown, and Njoku 7 for 42 and a touchdown. Elijah Moore 3 for 34, and then everybody else kind of mixed in with that. But I think with Jameis Winston under center, I mean, we've kind of been saying this, but with Jameis Winston under center, Jeudy and Njoku are kind of must starts every week. Not necessarily to the point where like I'm forcing them into our lineups, but like if you're even considering it, they're just passing the football enough, and they're in situations where they're just scoring touchdowns for this team, and they're getting a lot of receiving yardage. So I think Judy and Njoku, they're guys that just kind of need to keep falling into the lineup each week as you look at them. But everybody else, it's still pretty much just the Cleveland Browns. Elijah Moore, he's going to be a spot start when you need him. Jerome Ford, if you need him, a spot start. But even Nick Chubb, like I don't trust Nick Chubb really the rest of the year. I'm probably not playing him unless I really need him. But everybody else, it is what it is. But Judy and Njoku, I feel very confident in those guys moving forward. And Austin says Judy is a dog. So it's interesting, man, because Steve Smith Sr. was saying that Judy is a bum. So we'll see. I think Judy's getting some revenge this year. Let's go to the next game. Next game is Raiders Buccaneers. Another injury in this one as well. Multiple injuries actually in this one. So we kind of had a week where all of the injuries started to kind of pile up a little bit. Nothing major, but some injuries piling up. Tampa Bay wins 28-13. The Raiders fall to 2-11, currently hold the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. Certainly looks like Shedeur Sanders makes tons of sense here. There was a video surfacing this weekend where Deion Sanders was telling AP, Antonio Pierce, that make sure you go draft those Sanders boys. Just go draft those Sanders boys for me. So it's certainly looking like Shedeur Sanders is going to be a Las Vegas Raider just more and more each week. Let's talk about Tampa first, and then we'll get into the Raiders. Baker Mayfield goes 18 for 29, 295, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. It's a couple weeks now where he's had multiple interceptions, but they're still winning football games, so who cares? Rachaad White goes 17 for 90 and a touchdown. That is because Bucky Irving comes into this game, smash matchup, a little bit banged up, plays, hurts his back. So he is hurt, does not play the remainder of this game. Sucks because a lot of people played Bucky Irving and were relying on Bucky Irving this week, and he did nothing for us really for our fantasy football team. So hopefully Bucky is good to go next week. Hopefully he's a little bit healthier. I don't want it to be a situation where he's banged up for multiple weeks, because then we lose Bucky Irving as a potential league winner for fantasy football teams. But if that is the case, Rachaad White is going to be back to bell cow material, and Sean Tucker is somebody who should be picked up off waiver wires just in case as a injury insurance stash if you have Bucky Irving, because he's going to be playable if Bucky is out as an emergency play. So 3 for 47 from Sean. Receiving wise for Tampa Bay, K-Dog goes 3 for 70. Mike Evans 4 for 69. Sterling Shepard 4 for 63. Jalen McMillan 4 for 59 and 2 touchdowns. And then Rachaad White 2 for 19 and a touchdown. So White gets the rushing and the receiving touchdown. It's just a lot of points going around. I think right now we're just moving forward with it as is. And to me, he feels very much like a guy who's lost the ceiling since Mike Evans has gotten back into the lineup, but he still has a decent enough floor that you can probably keep playing him. But he's more of a low-end tight end one these days. So that's kind of the way that I'm viewing him. Now, looking at Las Vegas, you do have Aiden O'Connell, who goes 11 for 19, 104 yards, and an interception. He gets hurt in this one. Antonio Pierce says it's not looking good, probably season ending. So he's going to be done. Desmond Ridder will be their starting quarterback moving forward. 12 for 18 for Desmond Ridder, 101 yards. I don't have any interest in getting Desmond Ridder on your team. You didn't really have interest in playing Aiden O'Connell on your teams, but if you're in a deep league, super flex, dynasty, whatever, and Desmond Ridder's on the waiver wire, he's going to be probably somebody you can pick up and play at least in the next couple of weeks if you really, really have to. I'm going to be avoiding it if I can, but he at least needs to be talked about in that aspect. Sincere McCormick leads the way again, 15 for 78, and then nobody else really on the ground does anything at all. But McCormick, that's 2 weeks in a row. In Dynasty Leagues, if you picked him up, you probably want to just keep holding on and stashing him. If he's not picked up in your leagues at this point, he probably needs to be picked up at this point, because anybody who shows life on the waiver wire in your Dynasty Leagues, you probably got to pick him up. And then even in redraft, like Sincere McCormick is probably like a speculative ad. He's the same type of ad to me as a guy like Isaiah Davis. So if you pick up like an Isaiah Davis, Sincere McCormick's the same type of thing right now. We are potentially going to get Madison back in the lineup, and we are potentially going to get Zamir White back in the lineup here shortly, and maybe that's going to affect McCormick, but who knows? He's playing well, and like I said, the Raiders have nothing to play for at the moment other than the number 1 pick, and you might as well see what you got in the young guy McCormick, because Zamir and Madison, we kind of know what they are up to this point. When you look at the receiving for the Raiders, it was a good matchup on paper for Jacoby Myers. He goes 7 for 67. Brock Bowers goes 3 for 49. Michael Mayer goes 7 for 68. McCormick in the air as well, 2 for 11. But really here, Myers did what we're probably disappointed based on how we talked about him this week. But he still did enough that you're okay with it. You're definitely disappointed in Brock Bowers going 3 for 49. Just because you're used to those big weeks, and you see Michael Mayer go 7 for 68. I'll tell you this, Michael Mayer is a player that in your dynasty leagues needs to be added, and if he's added already, he's a player that in the offseason, early in the offseason, once your trades open up and all those things happen after the championship week or whatever, I think I'm trying to go trade for Michael Mayer cheap. He's a player that I really like the talent coming into the NFL. He's a player that I think could potentially be a trade candidate this offseason. With Brock Bowers being the guy that he is, I could see the Raiders maybe wanting to move him and get some extra value just because they don't need that position anymore. Or it doesn't make sense for them to have a guy like that at their position. Mayer's a guy that I'm going to go try and get cheap. If I can offer, future third, 25, 26 third, or something like that to go get Mayer, I'm not afraid to go do it. If you can get him for a fourth, even better. But I don't think his value is going to be any cheaper than it is this offseason, early in the offseason at least. So he's a guy that I'm looking at in dynasty leagues for sure. Austin says, how do we view Bowers and Jacoby with Ritter? Their ceiling definitely comes down for sure. I think there's still going to be PPR guys. There's still going to be a team that's playing from behind pretty much every week, all game long. So they're still going to get some volume, but the quality of target's going to probably come down a little bit. So I think these guys Mayer's still going to just keep operating in that flex territory, that flex wide receiver territory. And then Brock Bowers, you're still going to play him no matter what because the tight end position is shit outside of like the top 4 guys. So I'm still playing Brock Bowers no matter what. Let's go to the next game. We got the Seahawks Cardinals. This is going to be a win for the Seahawks. They win 30-18. Not a great day from Kyler Murray and the Cards. We'll talk about the Seahawks first because they are on top of this division. It does look like they're going to be headed to the playoffs because I think that they'll win this division, at least the way it looks right now. Geno goes 24 for 30, a touchdown. Zach Charbonnet, best running back performance of the week right now, belongs to Zach Charbonnet. 22 carries, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns. Also in the air, Zach Charbonnet goes 7 for 59. I'll tell you this, man. Kenneth Walker is the Seahawks are so selfish, man, because Zach Charbonnet could be a stud anywhere, but they just put him behind Kenneth Walker, and it really diminishes the role that Charbonnet could have, I think, in this offense. If Kenneth Walker misses additional time, I don't expect him to miss additional time. Zach Charbonnet is going to be a league winner, 100%. I think he needs to be handcuffed no matter what. Obviously, he's owned in all of your leagues, but he's going to be a guy that I'm very excited to play, and I'm not even thinking about twice if Kenneth Walker misses time. I'm just going to keep putting him into my lineup. So 134 yards, 2 touchdowns, like I said. JSN leads the way receiving, 5 for 82 and a touchdown. DK Metcalf goes 4 for 49. Noah Fant, 3 for 18. When it comes to the receivers for Seattle, this is I'm really not loving what I'm seeing out of DK Metcalf, man. It does truly feel like DK has been surpassed on the depth chart. It feels like this team has moved to JSN as their wide receiver 1. And seems like DK's just not being used the way he was before. So I don't really know what to make of DK Metcalf. His ceiling has certainly come down over the last couple of weeks. Obviously, we know the talent that he is, but man, I don't like what I've been seeing out of DK. It's just unfortunate, man, because he's so talented. Now going to Arizona, Kyler Murray goes 25 for 38, 259, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. James Conner goes 18 for 90. Good spot for him. He didn't get the rushing touchdown, but he did get the receiving touchdown, so that did end up saving his day there, going 18 for 90. Now, Trey McBride goes 7 for 70, still leads the way every week for the Cardinals, still doesn't find the end zone. 14 targets. You love to see that at the tight end position, especially in your tight end premium leagues. Michael Wilson goes 2 for 57. He got the opening drive touchdown. Marvin Harrison 4 for 49. James Conner 4 for 32 in the receiving touchdown, like I said. So overall, Conner had a really good day. McBride had a good day for you. Marvin Harrison, not a great day. Eventually, this has to catch on, right? Like, Kyler Murray and Marvin have to catch on eventually. It may not be this year, but hopefully going into year 2, in Dynasty, they are a much better option for us. I think Marvin Harrison is going to be drafted much lower next year than he was drafted this year. This is a guy who was a back-end first-round pick, early second-round pick. He's like coming off the board as like wide receiver 8 or 9 or 10, something like that in drafts. He's not going to be drafted that highly next year. We'll just be honest. But outside of that, yeah, man, James Conner keeps doing James Conner things. I think he's going to be a set-it-and-forget-it RB2 the rest of the way. Let's go on to the next game. This next game was a fun one, man. The Bills and the Rams. So many fantasy points to go around. Hopefully, you didn't play against Josh Allen. Hopefully, you didn't play against Puka Nacua. Because if you played against those two guys went nuts. Hopefully, they were on your team. I know I played against some of these guys. I played against Josh Allen in a very important league, but I had Puka Nacua, so they kind of balanced each other out. It was Josh Allen went nuclear, but Puka, helped me. So the Rams, they upset the Buffalo Bills. They win this one 44-42. Matthew Stafford goes 23 for 30, 320 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kyren Williams 29 carries for 87 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground as well. Puka Nacua goes 5 for 16 with a rushing touchdown in this game as well. Blake Corum also 8 for 34. So Corum still getting mixed in. Like to see that out of Corum, but Kyren still getting that bell cow usage. Puka Nacua goes 12 for 162 in the air with another receiving touchdown. So you got the 2 touchdowns for Nacua. Cooper Kupp goes 5 for 92 and a touchdown. Tutu Atwell 3 for 45. But this was the Puka Nacua show, showcasing everything that he can do, rushing the football, receiving the football, catching touchdowns, all that stuff. 14 targets. We'll be honest here, folks. I love Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp is a great wide receiver. Puka Nacua is the number 1 wide receiver in this offense. I've seen enough when they're both on the football field that Puka Nacua is the number 1. Do not get it twisted. Cooper Kupp is great, but when you're getting 12 for 162 on 14 targets and Kupp seeing, almost half of those, you're the number 1. And that's not just recency bias. We've seen it multiple weeks. So love Puka Nacua rest of the season. Honestly, it may be like Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and Puka, like as the top 3 guys the rest of the way. Like that just might be it. That might be the top 3. And that's obviously in your redraft rest of season. Now, when you're looking at Buffalo, like I said, Josh Allen goes nuclear. It's the best fantasy football performance of anybody in, I think they said like 70 years. If you go back to like 1950, nobody had a better performance than Josh Allen did this Sunday. So 22 for 37, 342 yards, 3 touchdowns. How about 3 rushing touchdowns on the ground for Josh Allen as well on 10 for 82. James Cook, when Josh Allen's getting 3 rushing touchdowns, you know what happens with James Cook. He goes ghost, and you don't see him. Khalil Shakir goes 5 for 106 and a touchdown. Got tackled on the 1-yard line as well, so he could have had 2 almost. Amari Cooper goes 6 for 95, so good to see him back in the lineup. Obviously, Kincaid not in the lineup this one, so hopefully he's back later, but should be a good game. Keon Coleman still not in the lineup as well, but should be good for Amari Cooper going forward. Josh Allen, really, there's nothing else to say other than Josh Allen is him, and Josh Allen, is making a case for MVP. I know they lost the game. But I said it last week. I put a tweet out. There just simply is probably not a player more entertaining than Josh Allen in the National Football League, and performances like this, they don't happen very often. Like I said, the last one was like 1950. So if you got those fantasy points, feel lucky. If you played against it, it's unlucky, bro. So Mega says, I need Rico Dowdle to get less than 12 points for me to win playoffs week 1. Man, I'm surprised that you're already in the playoffs. But Rico Dowdle to get less than 12 points. It's going to be tough, man. I feel like that line's kind of low. I'd be a little bit nervous. But let's move on to the next game here, man. We'll go to the Bears and the Niners. This is the last of the afternoon slate. Horrible game from the Bears. Bad news Bears, pretty much as usual for them. We got glimmers of hope over the last 2 weeks, and yeah, that went away pretty quickly. San Francisco wins 38-13, 6-7 on the year. Chicago's 4-9. Chicago is still yet to win a road game this season. Brock Purdy goes 20 for 25, 325 and 2 touchdowns. Isaac Guerrero, pickup of the week, goes 15 for 78 and 2 touchdowns. Sprains his foot, leaves this one early. Doesn't sound like he's going to be too worried about it. He said he feels great today. Obviously, that's player speak, but sounds like he should be okay. Patrick Taylor went 7 for 25 and 1. If you are nervous about Guerrero, again, I'm not super nervous about him at the moment, but if you are nervous about Guerrero, Patrick Taylor is a pickup. And so is Israel Abanikanda. Those would be 2 pickups for me, potentially. But Patrick Taylor would be the next guy up. He would be the handcuff to the handcuff to the handcuff, and he would be his handcuff. So it would be like 4 handcuffs down the line. That's Patrick Taylor, baby. But Isaac Guerrero, he should be fine. He should be good. And it looks like he's going to potentially be a league winner down the stretch, assuming he's still healthy. Kittle, 6 for 151. No touchdown in this one, but 151 yards out of your tight end. Love to see it. Juwan Jennings, 7 for 90 and 2 touchdowns. Isaac Guerrero, 2 for 50 in the air. And then Deebo Samuel. I don't even know what to say about Deebo anymore, bro. 2 for 22, and that is about it from Deebo. I'm gonna start calling him Deebo Poo-Poo Samuel because he's not good, man. He's not good anymore. I hate what I've seen out of him this year. He honestly is on record. He's probably one of the biggest busts in fantasy football this year. Just not excited about Deebo Samuel the rest of the way. I think he is a auto bench until further notice. There's plenty of other options better than him at this point. Not great. Other than that, it is what it is. Niners are still going to be running the football, and it's going to be Isaac Guerrero. Chicago, I think they had 2 yards of offense in the first half. Caleb Williams goes 17 for 23, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns. DeAndre Swift goes 14 for 38. Caleb Williams runs the football 4 times for 27 yards. DJ Moore goes 6 for 49. Rome Odunze, you like to see this in Dynasty. In Dynasty, you like to see this. 4 for 42 and 2 touchdowns. So at least Caleb Williams, when he's throwing the touchdowns, is going to Rome. I guess that's the optimism if you're a Bears fan. That's the optimism if you are playing Dynasty Fantasy Football. Keenan Allen, disappointing day, 3 for 30. And then Cole Kmet, you don't even see him on this. Was just non-existent. Just a bad day from the Bears. Like I said, bad news Bears all around. And they look horrible. They're playing for 2025 as well. They might as well pack it in this season. And that interim coach is not going to be the head coach of that football team next year, 100%. Let's go to the Sunday night game. I hate that I just got so negative about that game, but that game was not great, man. Deebo Samuel just, pissed me off, bro. Los Angeles Chargers, Kansas City Chiefs. This is a Sunday night game. How do they keep getting away with this? How does Kansas City keep getting away with this? I just want to go out there and say, 2022, the Vikings won like 13 games, and everybody talked about, they're only winning 1-score games, or they're blah, blah, blah in 1-score games. They're frauds. When Kansas City only wins 1-score games, they ain't frauds, though. I don't actually think that they're frauds. My point is more so that everybody called the Vikings frauds, and they weren't. Anyways, Kansas City, they win a 1-score game again. 19-17, beat the Chargers. Patrick Mahomes goes 24 for 37, 1 touchdown on 210 yards. Isaiah Pacheco, 14 for 55. Kareem Hunt, 5 for 16. Pacheco is the RB1 in this offense, obviously moving forward. Kareem Hunt is just a handcuff. I will say, though, Pacheco still looks like he kind of needs to get his legs underneath him. This was a tougher run defense, so there's still going to be stuff that he has to get it going with, but he still needs to get his legs underneath him. I don't think he has that RB1 upside right now. Travis Kelce goes 5 for 45, Worthy 5 for 41, Hopkins 4 for 32, and a touchdown. Juju 2 for 31. They're going to throw the football around the football field. DeAndre Hopkins, he scored the touchdown. It's still tough to trust most of these guys in this offense right now, just because of how little they're throwing the football, and not little they're throwing the football. They're just not doing a lot with it in the air. I mean, Pat hasn't been that guy all year, to be honest. Now, looking at the Chargers, we were without Ladd McConkey, so hopefully you didn't wait on Ladd McConkey. He was ruled out right before the game. Herbert goes 21 for 30, 213 yards and a touchdown. Gus Edwards leads the way, 10 for 36. He gets the rushing touchdown. Kamani Vidal goes 8 for 34. Neither of these guys are great plays as long as JK is out. Honestly, would love to see them just get Vidal the ball a little bit more because he feels like he has a little bit more juice than Gus. But I think with Greg Roman being there, they are just going to go to reliable, the Gus bus. Josh Palmer goes 6 for 78, so he was the play if Ladd was out. Will Disley looked like he was going to have a smash matchup. He got hurt in this one. So Disley goes 2 for 19. Stone Smart fills in, goes 3 for 54. Quentin Johnson 5 for 48 and a touchdown. Overall, it's from all of the playoff teams, this is one of the grossest group of skill players in all of football for playoff teams. I mean, Gus Edwards, Josh Palmer, Quentin Johnston, like Stone Smart, this is what we're going into if these guys are continuing to be hurt. If Ladd continues to be hurt, Disley continues to be hurt, it's not great. Hopefully Ladd is back next week because we will need him for fantasy football playoffs, and he's a damn good football player. So that is it for that Sunday night game. Chiefs win on the field goal. Doink for the division is what they're calling it. Overall, just how do they keep getting away with this? Looking at Monday night, you got the Bengals and the Cowboys. Like I said, a lot of people are waiting on some miracles, man. I think the Bengals win this one. It's not a game that I'm really worried about for them. I'm just hoping that they don't go out and just put it on the Cowboys because I need a Monday night miracle. I know a lot of you guys need a Monday night miracle as well. I need Chase Brown to score less than 21.5 points. If he scores 21.6 points, I lose in the BDG, your idiot league mates, and I'm trying to keep playing some football, man. I wanna keep playing there, man. We overcame some injuries. We had Stephon Diggs IR out for season, Ayuk IR out for season. We made some moves. We got around. We're still a playoff team fighting for a playoff spot. We just need Chase Brown to score 20 tonight. You know, don't do 20.5. Just do 20. You know, get 20 for my guys, and you know, everybody eats. Just don't do enough to knock me out of the playoffs. Now, if you're looking for a Monday night miracle yourself, Underdog is giving new customers a free pick. 1 total yard from Joe Burrow is all you need. That hits, you win that part of your pick'em entry. You get some money, you cash out, everybody eats. Now, the only way to do that is to use our code LeagueFFB. If you do sign up using that code, though, or you use the link in the description, they will give you up to $1,000 in bonus cash as well. So they give you some free money, courtesy of us. They also give you the free pick, so you can win some more money with the free money that they gave you. Like I said, it's a win-win-win situation for everybody, and it supports this show. So hopefully, if you guys have never played Underdog, you want to go play on Underdog, and you want to support the show, you can sign up using our code LeagueFFB. Now, that is it. Just wanted to give you guys an update moving forward. Now that we are into the fantasy football playoffs, we are going to be switching up our schedule just a tiny bit. Also, I got a vacation for Christmas, going back home for the holidays to see, you know, my mom, my brothers, and everybody. So we're switching up the schedule just a tiny bit. Starting tomorrow, Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be doing a stream every week called The Winner's Circle. And we're going to be talking about playoff matchups, you know, the best players that you could be playing that week. We're going to be answering start-sit questions. It's basically a Q&A with some bonus stuff, talking about waiver wire pickups to help you win that week of your fantasy football playoffs, and really all of that stuff combined. So it's going to be the Winner's Circle, helping you guys keep winning every single week in the fantasy football playoffs. And then on top of that, every week we're also going to be doing the Friday Q&As. We're going to be doing the Sunday start-sits, and we're going to be doing the Monday recaps throughout the rest of it. So 4 streams a week moving forward, starting this week, with tomorrow night being the first episode of the Winner's Circle, and that will be very playoff-focused, matchup-focused, start-sit Q&A focused. So hopefully you guys are excited for that. If you do enjoy the content, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and make sure you go join our Discord. Our Discord is the best free place to get some advice from us and all of the other people in that Discord. We're looking for more people just to hang out with, play in leagues with, you know, whatever it may be, just chat with. So go join that if you haven't as well. But all that considered, nothing else for you today. See you tomorrow for our first episode of Winner's Circle. Until then, peace out.